Hola, you goobers. I'm sorry, YouTubers. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Qué pasó? It's Juan Trevino. I'm a white Mexican. Well, it's New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2021. Another year's gone, man. It goes by fast. Don't blink, as Kenny Chesney used to say. So anyway, I'm going to give y'all 3 or 4 or 5 prophetic predictions for 2022. Number 1, Bitcoin will get below $25,000. Bitcoin was very volatile in 2021. I think the range was like 27,000 to 69,000 or something like that. And most of that volatility was fueled by a lot of armchair investors who thought they'd just throw some money in, Ethereum or Dogecoin or Shiba or whatever and make money, become millionaires. It was basically just the gold rush, the digital gold rush. It didn't work out. Most people lost their money and have got out. I think the newness has wore off, and most people kind of see that it's not really the get rich quick scheme that they thought it was. Kind of like all the people who went to Colorado to grow pot in the early aughts or the gold rush of the late 19th century. People just end up kind of selling their picks and their grow lights or whatever and kind of go back to their normal life. So I think that you're just going to be kind of stuck with the true believers, the Bitcoin purists who are hodling, and it's gonna do a couple of things to the market. Number one, it's going to stabilize the market, stabilize the volatility to some degree, but it's also going to decrease the value. I think we're going to see the market get down. I think Bitcoin's going to get back down to around $25,000. And I think it's going to relatively stabilize. I don't think you'll see the volatility in 2022 that you saw in 2021. There will certainly be some. It's not going to stabilize completely, but I think the key component for anybody interested in Bitcoin is to, the purists see it as a revolutionary currency that decentralizes, a revolutionary decentralized currency. And you'll hear these people say all the time, the true value in Bitcoin is when you can use it as a currency. I don't ever foresee it being used as a currency, but I do think that it holds some value as digital gold. So anyway, prediction number 1, Bitcoin will hit the $25,000 mark. I think a lot of people are real bullish on Bitcoin, and they think that they're making these predictions where it's going to be $1 million and all this kind of stuff, and it could very well be, but I think the opposite. I think that you're going to see it get back down to about $25,000. Certainly before it hits $1 million, it's going to drop down lower. So I think that's a pretty accurate prediction. I don't really think that that's a hard one to see. So look for Bitcoin in about the $25,000 range at some point in 2022, which I think it's at 49,000 today. So it's not like that's just a super. It never even hit 25,000 in 2021. The lowest it got was 27,000. So there's prediction number 1. Prediction number 2. This is a little off the wall one. Conor McGregor will fight in the summer or fall, late spring, summer, early fall of 2022, and he'll get his ass beat again. I don't know who he'll fight. I could see it being some bunk fight, whether it be Nate Diaz or Poirier, one of those rematches, or maybe even a new fight like a Turner Ferguson or somebody. I actually think he's going to move up and fight at 170, and then I think it's just going to seal his demise. I'm going to go out on a limb and not only say that he's going to get his ass beat every time he fights in 2022, but furthermore, he'll never win another fight in the UFC. As a matter of fact, McGregor's future will essentially turn him into kind of like a lackey of sort, I could see him fighting like Jake Paul type people in the next year or two. I think that's kind of, he's gonna make a big descent, and I think he's kind of got that mentality that instead of sailing off in his yacht, that he's just gonna kind of continue to kind of just be a person who just kind of takes ass whippings for money. So anyway, Conor McGregor will get his ass beat again in 2022. He might fight twice. You know, he might fight again at the end of 2022, but he'll never win another fight in the UFC. Now, that's not to say that he, you know, couldn't beat Jake Paul up in a YouTube fight. I'm just talking about in the UFC, he'll never win another fight. Number 3, I think Joe Biden's health isn't doing real well. I could totally see Kamala Harris having to step in as acting president at some point in 2022. I think that's not anything really hard to see. I mean, you can just look at, you don't have to be a doctor to look at Biden and see that he's not, his better days are behind him. So I think you're going to see Kamala Harris kind of running the show a little bit. Number 4, I think, what I got at number 4? I think you're going to see some real fallback from the COVID stuff. I think that there's going to be a lot of people who are going to really start to see that, or start to question the quote-unquote experts. So they're going to say, like, hold on just a second. Like, what if we had just never done anything? Most pandemics are 2 years, last 2 years, and we're 2 years in, and there's more COVID cases now than everything. So they went wrong somewhere. And you can't continue just to be wrong over and over and over again, and people are just going to blindly fall. Sure, they're going to have people who are just going to no matter what they're taught. I mean, you could literally tell people that, I think Fauci could literally get on TV or Twitter or however he does his announcements and literally tell people if they eat poop that they could, they cure COVID or something, prevent COVID or something. And I think that there would be a certain amount of people that would do it. I mean, some people just, they are not capable of any independent reasoning, any critical thought. They're going to do exactly as they're told, even though it makes no sense. I mean, we're at 500,000 cases or something like that today, whereas a year ago when there wasn't even a vaccine, we were at like 150,000 cases. And it should be noted that a lot of people are doing the at-home tests and have realized that it doesn't really do any good to get a COVID test because there's not a lot of things you can do. So, we're at 500,000 cases, but that, I mean, it could very easily be, 1 million cases because of, again, at-home tests and people just not testing and things of that nature. So, I mean, we're talking about 10 times the amount of cases before there was a vaccine. So you get a vaccine, you got 10 times the amount of cases, I think. And we're at 2-year stage, which we should be endemic, and we're not. So there's going to be some people who, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to start saying, whoa, hold up here. This just isn't adding up here. So, and let's see, number 5. I'm going to go out. I'm going to give some kind of crazy prediction for number 5. Let me think about number 5. I think that we'll see, I think that number 5 can be something like space orientated. I think we'll start to hear small rumblings about space colonization probably at the end of 2022. People starting to, possibly make some mentions of inhabiting space, colonizing space. I think you'll start to hear some of that stuff. At the end of 2022, you'll start to hear about, by 2025, there could be a small group of people living in space full time. I think I think space colonization will be a big talk. I also think there's going to be a lot of Americans moving abroad. I think a lot of Americans are going to start to kind of tap out and cash out and move abroad. I think you're going to continue to see a lot of problems on the inflation front. That's going to be a big issue. So yeah, I mean, several, and the COVID fallout's going to be huge. You're going to start to see some grassroots Tea Party type movements come from the COVID debacle. So yeah, I think those are your predictions for the year. Take them to the bank. I'll touch base again this time next year, and we'll kind of see where I was at. Anyway, Happy New Year's. Y'all have a great year. Have a blessed night, and enjoy, man. Cheers.